Welcome, my friends, to live coverage of round number 5 here at GP Prague. My name's Riley Knight, and I'm joined, of course, it's my great pleasure to introduce once again the Pro Tour champion, Simon Goertzen. Simon, on your screen, as you can see, Steve Rubin and Ifro doing his old grandpa Ifro impression there. Rubin, off with the Renegade map. This card's been very, very impressive for a lot of people this weekend, Simon.
I'm a big fan. I think limited formats need this kind of effect to just smooth out certain strategies. It just allows so much for so little.
Yeah, you see it on your screen there. It does really turn on and opens up a wider range of decks, enabling splashes. It's a very efficient sort of card. It also helps with the two key mechanics in this set in Aether Revolt, of course, both Improvise and Revolt here. One of the most efficient Revolt enablers in the set, if not the most, I would say.
If you can afford to keep it around, that's the one thing.
That's a good point.
What you not because you are basically you're storing a land that you can't use for all these turns.
Does kind of let you cheat on the land count every now and again. You can see Steve Rubin cracking that map here and going in, like getting a mountain. So the utility of the card very obvious to see. Ifro opening up the board here for like opening with an Ether Swooper, and that's been followed up by a Filigree Familiar. Nice little value card once again.
Yeah, only island so far for Ifro and Rubin with 3 colors.
And look at this, already adding to the battlefield here with his play. It looks like we're going to see a Quicksmith. And here Froelich now, considering his options. He's on blue mana. Almost certain to see a second color here, Simon.
Yes, I have not seen a single colored deck in this sealed format. It is a relatively young format, but that would be quite extraordinary, especially because blue is not known to be the deepest color.
No, we've actually seen some players shy away from there. It seems to be the consensus that green offers a fair bit of depth here as Froelich gets in for a couple of points here. That Swooper already having attacked and generated a servo. Quicksmith Rebel, of course, going to be a decisive card here for Steve Rubin. This vehicle here, the Mobile Garrison, able to just chop out a shock whenever Rubin's interested in that. So he can take down either of these attackers.
This is an insanely powerful ability.
So we're going to see the vehicle crewed here. Mobile Garrison is crewed. Doesn't look like Rubin has chosen to untap anything with the crew ability. Or is it just when it attacks? I'm sorry. And now, of course, this Mobile Garrison can be used to pick off something else here.
We will soon find out what Ifro's plan was. It looks like he really needed that card to find maybe another land. He's playing an artifact-heavy deck, so he might have place here.
Yeah, we could see a follow-up play. It looks like it's going to be... Ah, yes, okay, so here is Pacification Array. And we see the Ether Swooper eaten up by that Mobile Garrison thanks to the Quicksmith Rebel's ability, or the ability that is granted to the Garrison, I should say. And Quicksmith Rebel, obviously worth a splash here for Steve Rubin, as we see him play his 5th land. He's not having any mana trouble so far, thanks to that Renegade map.
Yeah.
Froelich, on the other hand.
This is really hard. You're playing with with the only color that's really at its worst when it comes to dealing with opposing creatures, and the Quicksmith Rebel punishes you so much.
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, as we see a Bastion Mastodon come down, on the face of it, a 4-mana 2/2 just doesn't impress anyone. But the fact that it can just be so overwhelmingly powerful when left unchecked, and as you say, Simon, Froelich not even in the colors here where he can make any kind of important play with it. So the Rebel is going to be tapped here thanks to the Pacification Array, and that's a weak turn from Froelich there. With only 3 lands, he is a little constricted, it's fair to say. And the Bastion Mastodon coming down as a 4/5 is going to improve Rubin's board. Ether Swoop at the draw for Froelich here. That's not what he's looking for at all. Very heavy artifact deck. Are we expecting to see red or perhaps black as his second color?
Yeah, that's red would be, I guess, the natural pairing. But there are definitely there are definitely a lot of options. Yeah, I think there are some red cards in his hand.
Well, let's dig a little deeper here with the old reverse engineer coming up for another 3 cards. That looks like I can see a blue-red duel in the hand of Eric Froelich there.
Which does come into play tapped.
Oh yeah, look at
as
that.
the 4th land. So even now with the mountain, I think, yeah, if he doesn't have mountain shock here,
He's a long way behind here. Froelich having a look at Quicksmith Rebel and considering his options. Got 500,000 cards in his hand. I can see a mountain there, mountain hiding out as well. So not the smoothest draw here for the Hall of Famer, but it's going to be Spy Bluff Canal. So obviously no follow-up play now, and Ruben gets to take care of that servo token, thanks to Quicksmith Rebel's ability on the garrison. That garrison's already done 4 damage, and it hasn't even attacked. So there's the Spy Bluff Canal, the fast land coming in, unfortunately coming in tapped for Ruben here. Or for Froelich, I should say. Ruben not having any mana trouble as we see a Dawn Feather Eagle come down. Look at that. That's going to really, really take things up to the next level here as Ruben attacks for a billion with his creatures, all, of course, having vigilance. And Froelich has seen enough. Look at that. Not willing to give away any more information about the contents of his deck. Grandpa Eric there, not a happy chappy when it came to how that one ended. And Steve Ruben, cool, calm and collected, as he always is. We saw a great level of dignity with this young man, the way he won his pro tour. He's one of the best kept secrets in professional Magic, really. This guy's an absolute house, but his humility and modesty really set him apart.
he definitely was before he won the pro tour.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not so much anymore. Speaking of best kept secrets here, Emmanuel Gershenson and Javier Dominguez, both of these guys hard-hitting heavyweights of the European Magic circuit. Gershenson from Austria, of course, and Dominguez from Spain, I believe.
Correct.
And these two here now, you can see they've developed their second game pretty well here. Gershenson struggling with mana a little bit. Dominguez seems to be on the front foot now with the Pima Outriders joining his Leopard here. Dominguez looks like he's picked up an early game 1 win as well, Zimon.
Oh, this could be a quick match if Gershenson is really stuck on one color, even in a set with a lot of artifacts, which does make it easier to work around these mana troubles for a while. Once you run out of colorless cards or black cards to cast, you really need this. You really need the forest, and even then you are limited to 1 spell a turn.
Walking Ballista's going to get rid of that Leopard now after the block and leaving Dominguez with the Iron Tread Crusher in addition to this Pima Outrider. Gershenson doesn't seem to be having any more luck with his mana, however, as we see 3 swamps tapped. All aboard, let's go. It is the little train that could as the Renegade Freighter comes down, but with this game not providing too much in the way of excitement, we are going to head back to game number 1, or game number 2, I should say, between Ruben and Froelich. These guys ready to get at it. And Froelich off to a quicker start here. You can see Maritime Dockhand there. Excuse me. Merchant's Dockhand, I should say, in addition to the Spire Bluff Canal. And Renegade Map for Steve Ruben. And a shock taking care of the Eddie Tail Hawk. Map going out to fetch something here for Ruben. Presumably his forest now, yeah. We're not actually 100% sure of which colour is the splash colour here for Ruben, because we saw the Quicksmith Rebel, and he may indeed be playing a green-white deck with a red splash, or a red-white deck with a green splash. It seems to be, however, the green-white deck, because look at this, Renegade Rallier bringing back the Eddie Tail Hawk. That is, geez, those are some tasty beans. Look at that.
With exactly the fact that the map provided revolt there.
Yeah, we talked about the map being such a powerful player in this format, but I tell you what, talking about powerful players in this format, how about an Ether Sphere Harvester? This card, one of the marquee rares, many people hoping to bust these open in their packs as they get underway here at GP Prague. This guy is an absolute house. So as you can see, a 3/5 for 3. It's a vehicle, but that crew cost is what really separates it. 1 is all that is needed. 1 power needed to crew this, and of course you can pay an energy to give it lifelink. Very difficult card to deal with, very difficult card to race, an absolute beater.
And the casting cost, I mean, 3 for these stats, that's really amazing.
It is just bonkers and kind of pales, the mobile garrison kind of pales into insignificance here, as we see now Froelich continuing to develop his board. And it's the Reckless Racer that's going to, looks like it's going to power up this Ethersphere Harvester here. Pay 1 energy and gain 3 life. So Froelich already off to the races here. He's put his suit and tie on and he's headed down to Flemington to watch them go at it. Nice little bit of rummaging going on for him as well. So this is a better start here. This is better stuff from Eric Froelich.
Yeah, much stronger, of course, than the previous game. No 4th land.
No 4th land. Once again, mana trouble pursuing the Hall of Famer. And it's back to Ruben now, who isn't having any trouble developing his mana. I can see Caught in the Brights in his hand. I think I also saw a Fairgrounds Warden. Yes, indeed. Look at that. Fairgrounds Warden and Caught in the Brights, both options here to curtail Froelich's early aggression. And the Reckless Racer, so reckless that the Wardens come along and said, hang on, mate, just chill out a little bit. We're going to take you downtown for a couple of questions here. Certainly a flavour win there. That's fantastic to see. Across comes the Mobile Garrison untapping its crew, the Renegade Rallier.
Really nice that Fairgrounds Warden provided that extra point of attack to crew Mobile Garrison.
So in the face of this Warden, the Editail Hawk, both having been tapped to crew the Garrison. Froelich has taken a bit of a licking here so far, but he of course has the Ethersphere Harvester, which is very, very difficult to race. And he'll be hoping to leverage as much of an advantage as he can from this early onslaught. Froelich deep in the tank here.
He needs to decide if he wants to just stay back with the Harvester, and he needs to make a plan on how to survive and claw back into this game.
Well, he has shipped the turn back to Ruben now. Froelich, once again, the top of his deck, his worst enemy here. As Ruben decides how he's going to navigate this turn. Certainly in the driver's seat here, Steve Ruben, you'd have to say. Once again, we see that removal sitting in his hand, so he's in a position to do some good work here. Once again, the Leopard. We've seen this guy up and down the tables all weekend, Zimon.
I really like the decision by Steve to take things a bit more slowly. He knows as long as Eric is not using his mana that he's getting more development in. And by not exposing one of his removal spells, he knows he will be able to have a much stronger turn.
Treasure Keeper the play here for Eric Froelich. Didn't see what he got to cast there. Was that a...
when it dies.
Oh, when it dies. So it's the reverse Bloodbraid Elf, I'm sorry. Guy looks a little bit like a... What are they called from Animorphs?
Looks like
Did you read that book?
Like a centaur.
Yeah, but it's got the scorpion tail, like the things from Animorphs. Ruben now. Caught in the Brights. That Treasure Keeper's not going to be revealing the sweet, gooey juices from within anytime soon. We see now Mr. Garrison is going to head downtown. And trigger, of course, the Caught in the Brights. Away goes the Treasure Keeper. But we will see the Keeper used to crew the Harvester here. So Froelich making sure to gain as much value out of the cards as possible. Caught in the Brights, a fantastic card, a great example of what I'm sure is top-down design here.
Nice opportunity to double block. Eric doesn't have much to lose here.
Nope, gains a little bit of life. Oh no, didn't activate the lifelink ability there. But a tidy block there taking care of the Mobile Garrison. Spontaneous Artist comes down. 4 mana 3/3. Not just choosing to continue growing his energy reserve there. Not going to get in with the 3/3 at this point. Not a great attack anyway.
No, and he needs all the energy he can get and all the remaining creatures to have crew available.
Yeah, this onslaught from Steve Ruben hasn't necessarily got Froelich on the ropes, but again, it has been A pretty consistent beating from Ruben so far.
Eric needs two things to happen. He needs Steve to not have a combat trick, and for his draw to somehow peter out into something of a little bit of a flood, which we are already seeing to develop. And then Eric has a really good shot at coming back into this game.
Ruben with 2 cards in hand. We've seen him leverage his removal here in the shape of Fairgrounds Warden and Caught in the Brights. So he might be starting to run on fumes here.
Yeah, he's holding a land and a Felidar Guardian, as far as I could tell. So not the greatest attacks. But we actually do see an attack, so let's see what happens here.
Felidar Guardian. It's going to blink the Fairgrounds Warden now. And it looks like the Ethersphere Harvester is going to come down. We've seen Felidar Guardian, the potential scourge of Standard now. And we'll see what Frolic's response is.
It's an aggressive play by Ruben. He's giving Eric another potent creature back. Of course, the 3/5 was preventing him from doing much, but it had already done most of the damage. I felt like. I would have preferred to see Steve just go into a more defensive posture, rather than use his Felidar Guardian in this way.
It's certainly given Frolic a bit of a pause here as he thinks about how he's going to do this.
Okay, I think this is a case of the order in which triggers are stacked.
I see.
And it seems to me that Steve didn't announce it properly, just returned the creature to Eric, basically saying, look, this gets exiled, you get this back. But of course, if Eric gets the 2/3 back, he does get a free activation because he has a vehicle and a 2/3.
So could the triggers have been stacked in a way that meant that there was never an opportunity here to... No, it does seem that that's the way it goes. So yeah, after the judges have clarified that, so it does seem that he was able to get off a rummage as he tapped his Reckless Racer.
I think Fairgrounds Warden, only the enter the battlefield is a real trigger.
Yeah, the other one.
So then it's not really about stacking.
No,
but rather, just confirming with the judges what was going on.
So reverse engineer now the play for Frolic, and we see a pacification array also entering the fray, more or less free when it comes to the casting the engineer, as it pays for 1 mana of its own.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. The Eric's deck, when it gets rolling, it just pulls ahead on cards.
So Druid of the Cow, the follow-up play here for Steve Rubin. He is left with 1 card in hand, and I think it's a land by the look of things. I think it's a forest.
Yeah. With his 2-color deck with the red splash, we've already seen the map. We see Druid of the Cowl. It's entirely possible that he has 18, 19, maybe even 20 mana sources.
Nanam Cobra here now in Ruben's hand, and this again is not the most impressive stuff as we see him get in with a Leopard for 4 by the look of things. Imagine we'll see this Cobra deployed after this combat step. Frolic considering his response, and this artist's going to jump in front of the Leopard. Frolic looking to preserve his life total. Down comes the Nanam Cobra. And Frolic, he's going to leave that in the dust. Here we go. Get his Ethersphere Harvester back, and that Fairgrounds Warden is returned to Steve Rubin's hand. And the nice part of this, of course, Frolic draws a card off the leave in the dust.
And gets to loot again, to rummage again.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, that Reckless Racer can crew the Ethersphere Harvester one final time for this turn. And that's going to improve Frolic's hand even more. And he's drawn a bunch of cards, so he's happy to do this.
Exactly. Now it's at its most valuable. He has been using this ability before,
Yeah.
discarding spells, but now it's basically +1 card every time.
Because he's drawn 3 cards off the reverse engineer. He's drawn an extra card off of the Leave in the Dust. He's going to have stuff chaff lying around in his hand, and as we see, 2 or 3 lands hiding out there, discarding a mountain, drawing an island.
Don't forget,
island hits the bin.
don't forget that Steve Rubin also suicided his creature into the vehicle just to get rid of it.
So Frolic now really hitting his straps. Aethersphere Harvester coming in, gaining 3 life. Now we are going to see the Treasure Keeper come down. Another one by the look of things. It seems to be the second. And they're called Andalites, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
No, you will.
This race you are talking about.
I don't think you were young enough to read Animorphs books in your young adult years, mate. Certainly missed out on. Oh, what a tapestry of fiction that was. I'm getting nods of approval from Matej Zadokai. Eddie Tail Hawk coming across once again. Frolic is weak in the air at this stage, but he's in a great position here.
Did Steve Rubin just play Quicksmith Rebel to give his Cobra the ability to shoot 2 damage?
Hello. This could be very interesting because that is just that's a Shriekmore on legs, huh?
That's a machine gun.
That is a machine. It's an actual literal machine gun. So let's have a think about this. Well, not anymore. Okay, boo. Confiscation coup is going to break that up. But what could have happened here is Nanam Cobra gets given Death Touch, right? And does 2 damage to anything, which automatically kills it. But in this case, we don't even need to do that. So nothing particularly cool is happening. You can all return to your homes, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing to see here as Nanam Cobra is now controlled by Frolic. That could have been super sweet.
But shouldn't have Steve shot his own Cobra rather than doing this? Because I believe
It still has the ability.
I believe the ability stays on the Cobra.
The ability stays on the Cobra because let's just double check with Quicksmith Rebel. I think it says as long as you control, as long as Quicksmith Rebel remains on the battlefield. No, as long as you control Quicksmith Rebel. He still controls Quicksmith Rebel. He's just handed Eric Frolic a loaded pistol. Eddie Tail Hawk once again taking to the skies.
Yeah, not the most impressive showing of Eddie Tail Hawk here.
And a Fairgrounds Warden now with the Treasure Keeper. So once again, no treasures to be found here. Bastion Mastodon coming down as Ruben leverages all of his mana here. And it's back to Frolic. Frolic's played an Ether Theorist. He does have that Nanam Cobra. And he's got an Aethersphere Harvester. So Quicksmith Rebel being read by who I imagine is the table judge here. And I think Frolic indeed does have the benefit from the ability.
Only missing a Prophetic Prism.
Oh, and then he could just go to town here. So not a huge number of juicy targets here. There is the Eddie Tail Hawk. He could kill the Quicksmith Rebel, but that wouldn't be too hot. Ether Swooper.
But still, this is great stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Ephro with a billion energy in his pool is also going to attack with the Harvester, give it lifelink, gain another 3. That's another 6-point life swing here. Ruben's going to have to dig deep. What can he find here? What can he find? Simon Gertzen shaking his head in dismay. There's not a lot that's going to save him from this position. It's going to require a lot of hard work here.
No, and even a large creature or artifact, it would have to have a back-breaking effect, and then Eric is still so far ahead in card advantage.
Pacification Array tapping down the Eddie Tail Hawk here. We've seen the Bastion Mastodon gain Vigilance. So it is a 4/5 with Vigilance at this stage. And how is Ruben going to leverage this position? We're going to see an attack. Oh, followed up with a Riparian Tiger. So he's got beef. He's got beef. There is the Riparian Tiger once again.
I think Eric is just explaining that he will shoot Ruben twice with the Cobra. That's 7 down to 3, and then an attack with the 3-power flyer will kill.
That's enough. So a little explanation, a little exposition enough there for Ruben to pack up his cards. But Yeah, that confiscation coup really turned that game around in a major way, and Eric Froelich happy to pick up a win in game number 2. He looked to be in a commanding position, but really turned things around. Really did a great job.
It wasn't very clear from the beginning, but once things started to go his way, I think the rummaging ability combined with the super powerful three mana vehicle really did it. And Steve's deck has a lot of filler cards.
I agree with that. I think there's I like how Steve Rubin's deck is streamlined. It definitely has a game plan, but it's relying on some cards that don't really sort of smack you around the head and impress you that much. Really, we like Riparian Tiger. It's a great card, but when you're playing Bastion Mastodon, I mean, mate, ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, who's in that position? You really want to be from toe to tip. You want your curve to be full of impressive cards, and Steve Rubin is enacting a very coherent game plan, but he's leaning on some cards that aren't that impressive to do it.
His turn 3 was the most impressive turn of his whole game, and that says a lot because the rest of his curve just wasn't really impressive at all. And okay, you can do some tricks with Fairgrounds Warden, but there has to be something more.
Yeah, poking away with an Eddytail Hawk, especially in the face of an Aethersphere Harvester, I mean, it's just not enough, and that wasn't didn't get the Pro Tour champion over the line. Eric Froelich, on the other hand, look at that face of jubilation as he picks up the second game equalizer. So these two are going to go toe-to-toe once again to see who can take this game and this match out and keep that coveted X&O record.
And you have to stay calm in these kind of situations. Game 1, only islands, basically losing because of that. Game 2, also no fourth land. Could have just been that, right? You really have to believe in your capabilities and then keep your mental game strong for game 3.
Oh, the mental game's so strong. So important to have such a strong mental game, and you can see there Froelich didn't tilt. He kept his head above water. And I think another card that we're not really touching upon here, Zemon, that turned the game around is Reverse Engineer.
Yeah,
the Reverse Engineer, I mean, that enabled, not only did it obviously give him just the raw card advantage, it also gave him further fuel to rummage away with his Reckless Rebel. And that really impressed me, the way that his hand slowly built up without pressure being put on him by Rubin, and he turned that into a W. But it's all down to this now, as we head into game number 3 between Rubin and Froelich. These guys are going to bring this to a conclusion one way or another, as you see the Merchant's Dockhand once again coming down on turn 1. Rubin, he's got a Nanam Cobra, helped to be his undoing last game, but Eddytail Hawk remaining in hand for the Pro Tour champion here. Froelich, no shortage of lands in his hand, as we see Ether Swooper coming out. So Froelich beginning to curve out. Merchant's Dockhound, an interesting card, a little bit slow, but can still provide a lot of advantage here.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. It's just it seems like such a weird card, but ultimately when you combine all the abilities in this set, you're just often happy to have a 1-power creature that provides a little bit of something.
And I think the cost just coming in at 1 mana as well, especially if you've got improvised cards, if you need a bit of early defense, whatever else. As we see, look at this, a very aggressive deployment of this Fairgrounds Warden. What are your thoughts there, Zemon?
That's quite surprising. I think it doesn't even take away the only creature to crew with. So that's the first surprise. The second one, why would you get rid of a 1/2 flyer on turn 3?
And of course, Eric Froelich on turn 3 having the Aethersphere Harvest. They always have it, don't they, Zemon?
They do, and the problem is if you hold back your Fairgrounds Warden, you can't even punish them.
No, that's true.
The only thing you could do is to attack one of your creatures into it first, but that's usually not what you want to be doing.
So Rubin here, he's got an Unbridled Growth in his hand. But he's going to get in first, get in for a couple of points of damage, of course. That Aethersphere Harvester is just sitting there. Doesn't have the keys in the ignition just yet.
I'm actually a bit surprised. It doesn't seem like there was a massive amount of sideboarding going on. But if you play against Eric Froelich's deck, you really want to max out on artifact removal, I feel like.
Rubin cycling through that growth there. He's trying to churn through his deck. You see the Unbridled Growth, another excellent enabler for Revolt. The reservoir, the Ethersphere Harvester is really going to start taking over this game, especially in conjunction with the Reckless Racer here. Again, Froelich in a position to churn through the cards in his deck, look for the ones that he wants, sculpt the hand that's going to win him the game.
Once again, the power level of Froelich's card, not his 1 and 2 drop, but his 2-3 drops, is just more than what Steve has on the battlefield here.
Yeah, you mentioned already the fact that Ruben, with a number of very powerful cards in his deck, we've seen Fairgrounds Warden, we've seen Caught in the Brights, we've seen a couple of other ones as well. He is relying on cards like Eddie Tail Hawk. He's got Narnum Cobras. He's got cards that are really just a bit of a Yonzo here.
I like the Cobra, if only for the combo with Krigsmith Rebel. But of course, if you don't have the Rebel, it's doesn't impress too much.
So in come Steve Rubin's little clowns here, and a shock is going to kill off this Cobra. Is it? No, it's not. Look at that. Blossoming Defenses is going to come to the rescue of the little snaky there. Hands off my snaky, says Steve Rubin to Eric Froelich.
Eric did not rummage at the end of turn, which means he's holding 2 spells most likely.
Yeah, we've heard this conversation time and time again about when it's correct to loot, when it's correct to rummage. Generally, you don't rummage if you're happy with your hand. Generally, you always loot even if you are, because it can generally only improve your hand.
The probability that it's not beneficial is just really, really low.
Ethersphere Harvester coming in. That's another 6-point life swing. Ruben without any answer to it at this stage. Nice little Blossoming Defenses, though, kept the Wolves at bay for the last turn. And we'll see how he can leverage this turn to further his game plan. 4 lands to his opponent's 5.
And what is Eric planning to do with this 5 mana? He deployed more lands. He might be sitting on a flash creature or an instant here.
Yes, any number of things could come down at this point. Counter spells, perhaps. All sorts of things going on there. An Ether Trade wins. Wouldn't be too shabby in the face of this Caught in the Brights. Could just be a good old-fashioned disallow. We'll see how things go as this game continues. Ruben with 4 mana now. And here is the Felidar Guardian. Looks like we're going to see the Eddie Tail Hawk flickered here. Yes, indeed.
No place from Froelich so far.
Oh, here we go. 4 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana.
Bounce
Playing games with their heart. And what is this? It is Left in the Dust. So Left in the Dust bouncing the Fairgrounds Warden, which means the Ether Swooper comes back in, gains 2 energy, I should say. And check this out. Let me hit you with Dizimon. I'm going to draw a card as well. How about that? What do you think of this Leave in the Dust? What a card it is, huh? I love this sort of thing.
It's really nice, yes. 4 mana is one more than you would love to pay, but it's in the right spots.
I mean, you had me at Unsummon, really. Replace Unsummon with like any non-land permanent, draw a card.
Exactly, and that's why it costs that much.
So we see the Sweeper bounce off this Eddie Tail Hawk here, but it's going to create a servo token as it does.
Yeah. Eric really
Free
happy
attack
with the servo token.
Ooh, look at this. Are we going to see... It's Reverse Engineer. Confiscation Coup remaining in the hand of Eric Froelich. He's waiting for a better opportunity. But look at this. Oh, man. Reverse Engineer. What a card, huh? What a card it is. Draw 3 cards. Zimon, I've said it before, but I'll ask you again. Is there a better number of cards to draw?
4?
False.
No, okay.
I think 3 is better.
The cost of this card is just perfect. You know, if you have a single artifact, then it costs 4, which is already a tremendous deal. And if you have more, then it just starts to become really unfair.
If you're tapping like an implement, or if you're tapping an array or something else like that, if you're getting this down to 3-4 mana, I mean,
Mock Sapphire, really.
Whatever.
Anything.
I mean, you tap. Yeah. I mean, you could tap anything for it. So we're seeing the Cobra coming in for an encore performance along with the Eddie Tail Hawk.
I was a bit surprised to see Eric tap the servo token because he had the 5th land already. Could have held back the servo to block the Cobra.
Well, we see 2 mana now available for Froelich. Airdrop Aeronauts coming down, of course. Oops. It's 2 mana now. And it is. There we go. Shielded Ether Thief. So that's gonna explain that little turn of events.
Also, really nice card.
Yeah, super little engine there. Drawing cards, blocking stuff. That's all I want to do. And that Caught in the Brights is still sitting on top of the Old Mate Reckless Racer there.
Who's not being used? Who's not being utilized?
No, just looks like the servo's being chucked up into the air in the other Sphere Harvester. Little adventure for him, I'm sure. I don't think Frolic has enough energy to pay for the ability anymore.
No, he used it. He used it to gain some more life and to make the one servo token.
Pacification Array coming down, and that's helping to fuel out even more improvised cards. Bastion Inventor as well. So you can see here that Frolic has gone pretty deep on the improvised cards here.
And it makes sense, right? Once you start with improvised cards, you really want as many as possible, and as many artifacts.
Just
as
helps.
possible.
Excuse me. Helps to explain the presence of cards like Merchant Stockhand in his deck. Excuse me, mate. Got the old frog in the throat. Riparian Tiger, another play for Steve Rubin. Once again, I think the observation you made, Zimon, so on point here. Just Steve Rubin's deck really failing to impress. The occasional highlight coming out in his cards, but just the overall deck strength, you'd have to say, is just lower than where you want it to be. Look at this, a shrewd negotiation taking place here, as as Frolic says, "I'll trade you this tiger for that tiny little servo token there."
Now there's not even a good block for the 4/4 ground creature. It's just I don't even see the highlights. You know, this game, Steve didn't play a single impressive card.
No, even the Caught in the Brights, they're not really getting it done, and the Fairgrounds Warden just being made a bit of a mockery of.
No, the best two cards he played were reactive defensive cards.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have something proactive going on against blue-red deck, against Eric Froelich, that's not enough.
Yeah, they're going to walk all over you, and that's exactly what Eric Froelich does. Unfortunately for Steve Rubin, his undefeated streak has come to an end. He won last round and has lost this round. Unfortunately for him, he is now in the 5-1 bracket. But the 4-1 bracket. But Eric Froelich at 5-0, jubilant face of triumph you can see on your screen there. He'll be very happy with that performance, Simon.
And let's not forget how close Steve was to actually winning that match. If game 2 goes a little bit differently, then Steve would now be in the 5-0 bracket.
Yeah, that's right. But Eric Froelich kept his head in the game. You know, we talked about that mental game, that strong psychological game, and Eric Froelich certainly embodied that today. We saw him, you know, stuck on 3 mana, not able to deploy his cards, but he stuck with it and got there and was rewarded with a victory. So well done to him.
So something that's actually crucial to understand is that if you really test with some of the best players in the world and you play these drafts, you will go 1-2 and 2-1 much more often than you're used to.
And overcoming adversity is just such a huge part of becoming a professional Magic player. That's right. Well, my friends, look, we are going to leave it there for our live matches in round number 5. We've got a few messages to share with you. And after that, stick around because we have Time Walk Magic coming your way. A couple of replays to get through before we head off to round number 6. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, my friends. We are at GP Prague here. My voice is live, Simon's voice is live, but this recording, my friends, is not Seth Mansfield, the former world champion, playing off against Noah Walker. These guys have already finished this match, ladies and gentlemen, but of course we won't be revealing the results because we're going to get to it right now. Simon, these two have gone head-to-head in round number 5. Seth Mansfield, of course, is a well-known player around the world, and will be making his way to Dublin next week at the Pro Tour as part of Team Genesis. As we see these two players getting underway here, looks like an aggressive, fast start from Noah Walker. Seth Mansfield, does he have a turn 2 play as well? Yes, he does. Brad Nelson, Lucas Blohon, Seth Mansfield, Michael Majors, Martin Dang, and Martin Müller. All of these guys finding their way onto Team Genesis. That's an impressive lineup.
It's quite impressive, yes. When you have the names of Seth Mansfield and Brad Nelson, you are basically guaranteed to get a good team together. And then it's only a question of what you value and what you're looking for, which kind of holes do you need to fill. I think maybe a bit of limited expertise is what they were looking for, and certainly got with Lucas Blohon, for example.
Yeah, almost guaranteed to have a fantastic deck when you're playing with someone like Brad Nelson. This guy's been one of the kingpins of Standard for a long time. People well aware of his ability as a master of the Standard format, able to blend and develop decks from week to week. Really huge performances from him in recent times. And Seth Mansfield, I mean, this resume speaks for itself. 10 GP top 8s with 5 wins, 2 PT top 8s, and of course the world champion 2 years ago in 2015. He's facing off against Noah Walker, however, who has got off to a great start here. Look at this, the Ether Chaser followed up by the Thriving Grubs. A nice little energy sub-theme in his deck as he's got off to a flyer here. Aegis Automaton providing a little bit of defense, but not much, Zizimon.
No, but actually it is doing a good job preventing 2 damage a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the fact that we're going to see a take on a black-white deck, which is not as easy to build as some of the other synergy-driven decks of the format.
No, we've heard a lot of discussion about the color pairings and how they've sort of evolved or adapted to these new Ether Revolt cards, but I think the role of the black-white deck hasn't quite been found just yet. But look at this. Once again, we're seeing Quicksmith Rebel, and this card is just an absolute house, Simon. We've seen it up and down, running roughshod over the tables here in round number 5.
It's so unfair. It's like a 2-for-1 when it comes down, and then you need to deal with the weaker piece of the combo to actually stay alive.
Yeah, the guy's still there afterwards. And what I found confusing about the attack of Noah Walker there, he didn't attack with the serve, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Obviously not wanting to present it to any kind of danger whatsoever.
Well, and he used it actually to destroy the blocker.
Straight away.
To kill the blocker after
of course,
combat.
because he used it to finish it off. There you go. So a little bit of a clue there for Mansfield, but all the same, absolutely. You can't really play around the Rebel too much. It's going to get you. It's going to get you.
This game seems to be over before it even began.
Mansfield now, it doesn't look like he's having much luck developing his mana, and Noah Walker, look at this, blistering pace of play here as he gets in with his creatures for 4 more damage. Mansfield now unable to find a 4th land, and he's just going to concede, and that's what we see quite often in these situations. Don't show your opponent the cards that they're going to have to beat in the next game. You recognize that you're 98% to lose. You just pack them up, you go to game 2. So look at that, Noah Walker very decisively stamping his name on that game, and these guys hitting the sideboards for the second tilt at the crown here. Not a lot to talk about there, Simon. Quicksmith Rebel, great card. Who knew?
It's I'm thinking about the comparison because there is a blue counterpart, the sister.
Yeah, Quicksmith Spy
of Quicksmith Rebel, and I'm not even sure if drawing the cards is better than shooting for 2 damage.
No, I mean, some of the discussions at the top level of the game indicated that the Rebel was better than the Spy in many cases, just because of its raw, immediate impact on the battlefield. Drawing cards every turn, fantastic, obviously, but when you can just start machine gunning stuff down, and as we saw, even leveraging it against high toughness creatures in a post-combat setting, I mean, it makes the game, like, the immediate impact it has. It's just, it can't be overstated, really.
And this is, I think, the lesson, because if the game goes longer, which is what you want when you're drawing more cards, then your opponent might beat you despite a 2 or 3 card extra.
Yeah, before you can leverage that advantage.
But if your board is gone, then you are going to lose in 2 turns.
Yeah.
So it's this is what makes it so powerful.
Quicksmith Rebel also kills the Quicksmith Spire in a heads up.
Which is the main reason.
Which is the main reason, certainly. Reason number 1. I just wanted to make sure that was out there. Look at that. It's the Beaumont Brigade Barge Bazaar Bridge. A vehicle as a turn 4 play for Noah Walker. These players off to an absolute crawl here.
Quite different from game 1.
Very, very different indeed. Things have really slowed down, and Noah Walker, will he be able to crew up this banana boat and get in to the red zone? We'll see. Both players not having any mana issues this time. Some beautiful some beautiful lands brought to play by Noah Walker here. Seth Manfield's don't even match. Wow. So here's 4 mana. And here is... Oh, nope, sorry. Here is not the Beaumont Bridge Bazaar Barge Banana Boat, because it's going to be taken care of in very, very short order. We see Seth Manfield getting rid of that very quickly indeed. The Sweatworks Brawler getting rid of the... powering up the Beaumont Bridge Bazaar Bonkers Banana Train. I still haven't learned that card's name. It's been out for about 4 months. But Seth Manfield with one of the cards that I know has been very divisive for a lot of people, Zimon. This sacrifice effect's not always at their best in Limited.
No,
but what are your thoughts on Perilous Predicament?
I'm not a fan of sacrifice effects in general, because of exactly this problem. You don't really usually get what you want.
I mean, in that case, but that's a great point. That's about as good as it gets, right?
Well, this was the dream scenario.
That was just nutty. That's exactly what you want. You got 2 real cards. You didn't get a servo and another card. Like here, it would be just a clean 1-for-1. That was that was pretty disgusting actually. Followed up by a Dawn Feather Eagle. And now we see the 4th bridge.
Being saved here.
Yeah.
I really like Ali Evasion for its versatility.
So 4th Bridge Prowler coming in after this Eagle now. 4th Bridge Prowler, a card that, can do a bit of work. A lot of X1s running around in the format. And there's a 1 mana 1/1 with give a creature -1/-1. It's pretty tight. But Noah Walker obviously looking to protect his Propeller Pioneer here.
It's decent. It's nothing to write home about.
Servo comes in. Manfield happy to take it here. He's got 5 untapped mana and about, is it 2 cards in hand or 3? Could be even more. Playing very close to his chest here.
I think it's at least 3 from how this game has progressed. But as you said, not too much has happened. This is not in slow motion. We didn't alter the speed of the recording.
No, it kind of feels like it is at the moment because both these players are really taking this one step at a time.
But also because almost all the other games have been really, really fast. We didn't have a game go to turn 20.
No, I think the format has really sped up. I think that's fair to say.
Even for sealed, and I have to say I'm already excited for tomorrow. You know, this is where we get to see some of the best players in the world draft, and then we can see if they are really trying their very best or if they are just hiding some tech because the Pro Tour is
just around the corner.
Just a week away.
So Noah Walker, having learned from the mistakes of the past, he brings down the Propeller Pioneer as a 3-2. I shouldn't say the mistakes of the past, not obviously a bit of a hyperbole there. But he's brought it down as a 3-2.
Yeah, last time he played it, there also wasn't a 3 toughness flyer on Seth's side of the board.
Dawn Feather Eagle comes in. Walker not going to walk into some kind of a combat trick. He takes the 4 damage.
Interesting.
Leaves the door open for a counter-attack if Manfield doesn't have a follow-up play. He didn't leverage that 5 mana that he left open there, Zimon.
He basically played a 6 mana 1/1 bug.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. You know, it's a good way to visualize the mana disadvantages that you suffer. I don't know.
What's in his hand here? Because he's been thinking long and hard. Like he's... I mean, this isn't accidental that he's put 5 mana next to each other. He's telegraphing something. Whether it's another predicament or I mean,
None
difficult
of
to
these
tell.
none of
Difficult
these
to tell.
players wants to block either. So you see a really weird race because there's only 4 power on each side.
Oh, here we go. Here's a Change's Revolution. That's going to heat things up a little bit. So here we go. 3 damage, or 4 damage it is. And tap a land, it doesn't untap. And Seth Manfield, I mean, what are we going to see here? It is a tidy conclusion. Okay, so that 5 mana very obviously signposted there. He's not giving his opponent any second thoughts about it. And that's obviously the reason there to keep up the 5 mana after playing the little 1/1, the Prowler. Manfield now goes reaching for 1 mana and thinks better of it. He's going to tap a black instead, and he plays an Implement. You're going to gain 2 life there. Implement of Improvement there, the white Implement. And that, of course... Oh, there we go. It's the Deadeye Harpooner.
Yeah, not the juiciest target there.
No, still clears the board, though, and gets the 1/1 in. But, no, you're right in saying that, Zimon. It wasn't... And, I mean, not the juiciest enabler either, really. If you're playing Implement of Improvement in your deck... Well,
but at least that gets you a new card. I'm just concerned that Seth will be flooding heavily here.
Yeah, it does seem that way with 8 lands in play.
One or two more lands, and then his board is already not really threatening.
As you hear Rich Hagan opening the world's loudest packet of chips in the background. And Rashad Miller's going to get stuck in there as well. They are loving those chips, my friends, and I hope you are loving our coverage of Grand Prix Prague 2017. Certainly a great pleasure to have your company. Riley Knight's in the booth alongside Zimon Gertzen, the Pro Tour champion, and from all of us here at the coverage team, a warm thank you for choosing to join us. Tim Willoughby and Matej Zadokai sitting back in the background. Stephen Leeming now opening the world's largest or most noisiest stage light here. He's done a great job, however. And Neil Rigby hiding off in the background somewhere. Noah Walker's going to get involved with some attacks here. Audacious Infiltrator's going to come across. That servo can't block it. Glint-Sleeve Artisan can, however. But no. Manfield doesn't seem to be in the business of blocking. And a Renegade map going to come down for Walker as well. Oh, but look at this, Zimon. It's your favorite card in the world. Here is the Rebel once again. The Rebel with the cause in this case. Going to sling around some shocks here once that map untaps.
But in this spot you have a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can just get rid of the Rebel, and then the map will do effectively nothing.
So Walker looks like he's going to do some walking here into what I imagine has to be some kind of a combat trick. Perhaps it's not. No, look at that. Manfield with a desperation attack, just throwing his dudes into the fray. 3 mana. Are we going to see a revolt card here, perhaps?
Some -1/-1 ability.
Yes, indeed. -3/-3, as we see a strong... yes, indeed. Airdrop Aeronauts as well. So Manfield with a very, very strong revolt turn there, gaining 5 life off of the Airdrop Aeronauts, of course. And let's not forget about the -3/-3 given by the other revolt card, the Vengeful Rebel. Vengeful Rebel does it all. It slices, it dices. It's a 3 mana 3/2, which is already fine. And doing the old Wasteland Strangler impression is that's just gravy.
Especially if you don't lose something of real value, which is kind of the whole point. If you lose a real creature to enable revolt, it's not really all that great because the triggers are not that amazing.
Yeah.
But if you can do it with a servo token, a random artifact...
And just the 1 mana 1/1 there, that we saw the 4th Bridge Prowler, it picked off a card, it got the alley evasion out of Noah Walker's hand, and then on top of that, it's helped to fuel this -3/-3 effect. We can scorn a card like that, but I tell you what, it's done a huge job in this game.
Absolutely.
Airdrop Aeronauts as well, a nice little buffer here for Manfield's life total. He wasn't under a huge siege, but it's certainly going to tidy things up for him as we see Emerald Gear Smasher hit the bin. Manfield's follow-up play there. It is Bastion Mastodon.
and it does seem that he had enough gas left in his hand. A string of quite impactful cards.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he was just looking for the right point to leverage them. I mean, we've seen players, in two minds about when to put revolt cards into play, because often the upside on them when they're enabled is just so high. But, a lot of them stand on their own. Like, I don't think there's any problem with playing Vengeful Rebel on turn 3 without the -3/-3, but it does so much more work if it can kill off a creature, Zimon.
Usually what you will do is you will make that play if you have no other choice. But of course, if you have another 3-drop, then you'll be holding it.
But we saw Seth Manfield really not utilising his mana, holding a billion cards in hand, not putting these out into play. And I mean, his patience has been rewarded. This game's really turned around.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw Quicksmith Rebel, and we've just gone, okay, all over Red Rover, let's go to the next one. But here, I mean, Manfield's really been chucking him around, huh? Left, right, good night from Manfield at the moment here.
And I have to say, I agree with the choice to run a bunch of implements in such a deck. With, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 revolt cards, you really want to get maximum value out of them.
Yeah, we've seen Harpoonist, we've seen the airdrop aeronauts, we've seen the Vengeful Rebel. Very proud of myself for not having said Vengeful Pharaoh a single time there. I wanted to every single time, my friends, and I didn't do it. Dawnfeather Eagle has sent the aeronauts on Walker's side into the battlefield, so Walker really not living up to his name here, I think it's fair to say. And the Vigilance clause from the Dawnfeather Eagle as well, that's going to be very helpful when it comes to holding off Manfield's next attack.
It's easy to underestimate a one-shot Vigilance effect, but the if you analyze it, it often means just a free lava axe.
That's how I was going to characterize it as well. In that case, Dawnfeather Eagle came down and it said, deal 5 to your opponent. Essentially, that's what it said. And because it didn't change the status quo of the battlefield, it meant that the attack, it was free. It was just free. You're absolutely right. One-shotting a Vigilance effect, a lot more impactful than you might think at first blush, Zima.
And then when you consider the fact that 5 mana 3/3 flying is a very reasonable stats.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, of course, you would take a 3/4 flyer, but you won't get much more on the common level.
No, not a common. I mean, we do see the airdrop aeronauts up at a 4/3, but we've moved up to uncommon at that stage. And no, I think Dawnfeather Eagle it does a lot. I mean, it needs support. It's not a Riparian Tiger. It doesn't do it all by itself, but you get one good hit in with the Eagle, and you're happy.
And you have once again this flexibility. You can play it on turn 5. And it's solid, but you can also hold it back if suddenly the body is much less important than the effect.
So Manfield now with an all-out attack, only the Harpoonist staying at home here. Mastodon and his friends getting in there, and we're going to see some trades made. That Eagle, I mean, what a great use of that Eagle there. Trading for a card, getting in some extra damage, that's all you want, but not Walker, still down to 3. The pressure's on here.
Of course.
The pressure's on. Left with the airdrop aeronauts and, of course, this audacious infiltrator. Manfield ships the turn. He has never had an empty hand, and I think most of the turns he's passed, he's had mana up.
But look with how many more lands he's operating.
Hello, what is this? Look at this. We now have a... looks like we're going to have a bit of a gremlin feast going on right now as we see Walker taking care of the Bastion Mastodon. They're hungry beasts, the gremlins, and when they're released, of course, it can spell trouble for your opponent. Release the gremlins. Red XX, so at the low cost of 3 mana, Walker has cleared a creature from Manfield's side of the board and got himself a 2/2.
And now the question is, does Seth have another spell? Because currently he had been in a winning position playing with, I believe, 9 or 10 lands against 5. So that shows you how dominant his board position really was.
But he's forced to take it here as he takes a further 7 damage, and here's a servo exhibition by the look of things. So that's going to bulk out Walker's board even further, and that's nice because it gives him more protection from any other haste creatures or something else that's going to go on. Just anything to jump in the way of your opponent's creatures. And Wisp Weaver Angel is going to come down. Nice trigger on the Harpoonist there.
Very nice. Yeah.
Slow things down a little bit after having taken care of the aeronauts.
I think that's a lethal attack. Looking at body language here, I expect a combo
You got
trick.
that read? You got that read on him?
Yes.
We could see anything here. A precise strike. We could see... Oh, no. It is a rush of red something.
Built to smash.
Built to smash. He's built to smash. That servo has been built to smash, and smash it does. Manfield's face in this instance was what it was built to smash. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the booth. So good to have your company here for our fifth round, which is now all over Red Rover, my friends. We've stuck it out for the fifth round, and we've got it done. Simon, we've seen some pretty sweet stuff down in the feature match area this round. We saw really